Hello and welcome to Nerdarchy. For nerds, by nerds, I'm Nerdarchist Dave. Tonight I'm joined by this nerd.
Nerdarchist Ted. How you doing this fine and lovely evening, sir?
I'm doing good. Character background hooks unique to D&D TTRPG settings and Aether Skies.
All right, so I looked at this as more of a background as in the elements that happened before you became an adventurer. Were you looking at it more of a what backgrounds fit the setting?
No, actually, you can take it from either aspect, right? For one, with Aether Skies, also there's links down in descriptions if you want to see our very first Aether Skies campaign that we ran, not with D&D, but with the Open Legend game. The playlist is down there for you to check out and enjoy. But yeah, so there's actually three ways we can look at Aether Skies, right? Background being what's going on behind the characters, like literally, right? And the setting itself. Background, we can look at it as, oh, we're playing D&D and you choose a background. Or three, as in the backstory of the character, their upbringing, what makes them tick and who they are, and how all these things can tie directly into the campaign setting. Part of having unique campaign settings and playing in either your homebrew setting, someone a third party makes, or one that Wizards of the Coast makes, or one that comes with the TTRPG you happen to be playing, is being able to tie your characters into that world. But that's a huge benefit for you to take advantage of, both as a player and as the GM.
Yeah, because when I started looking at what is the background for Aether Skies, I'm like, okay, you've got so many different options that, sure, there are things that overlap to what we already have, but you can do so many more things with Aether Skies that aren't going to translate into other settings. Like, okay, well, what if you're an Aetherball player? Like, that doesn't really mesh up anywhere because you need to have the setting and the components and the stage, the ring, whatever you want to call the arena that they play Aetherball in order to actually have any applicable skills.
Yeah, so that's a great example. Like an Aetherball pro or amateur or enthusiast or even fan, right? You can all take them. Like from a D&D standpoint, right? You can literally use the entertainer background possibly and say that your character used to play, or the athlete background, right? And you can tie in that way with backgrounds in the setting. But as far as like hooks and adventures, right? Going off of the Aetherball, right? So Aetherball in Aether Skies is the premier sport. It is played in all the cities, and teams will travel from city to city to face off against each other. And fans will too. And the cities are very xenophobic. This is one of the few times that it is okay to travel between the cities, and it's expected. And this is kind of the exception to the rule, which is a great hook, right? Like if you want to run an adventure in another city, in Aether Skies, and your crew, your team is from a different city, like following the Aetherball circuit would be a good way of gaining access. But also politicking and espionage happens at these events too, because of the fact that this is an opportunity to get access to the places where you might not normally. So that's a great example, Ted, of how this silly little detail we made about this world can become an adventure hook. It could be a huge part of the character's personality. If they're a huge Aetherball sports fan, maybe they idolize particular players in the game. You could even use something is going on with one of the players and either they've disappeared or they're not playing as good as they normally do. Like, what's going on? Are they sick? Have they been infected with corruption from the bleed through the seal? Are they on the take? And that's why they're not playing so good, right? You could use these different things to kind of open up an adventure where a player-driven hook, like the character's like, oh, this person is my idol. I need to know what's going on.
So, I mean, you could do it the other way, and actually be the star. You can have the noble background that you're connected to the courts, whether it be fake courts or human courts. Or I don't think it would be outside the realm of possibility to be like, oh yeah, I'm an Aetherball pro. You might not be the guy or the frontline quarterback, if you will. You could be a star player, and therefore, when you go places, you might get recognized for the good or the ill. Somebody might want to put you out of action because you're too good on the team that is going to be playing their team. Yeah. So there's all different kinds of elements from that side that you can play with as well. And if you were playing a very political heavy game, it could be okay, we can use your stardom to get access to here, there, everywhere else so that we can get in and mingle with all the right people.
Yeah. And also with the Aetherball hooks, you can go the other way. Instead of performing bad, someone's performing really good. You kind of made me think about your fake courts. And then I'm thinking warlock packs. What if there's a warlock out there that's just constantly player? Again, because of the political stakes, and also there's probably a lot of money involved, it creates incentives, right? It's something you might get hired by a team manager to investigate, hey, what's going on with my players? They're so much better than this. When they hit the field, they have 2 left feet. And if you're wondering what Aetherball is, it is a combination of ice hockey meets lacrosse meets Quidditch, kind of, is the best way to describe it. But that's one tiny aspect of the world of Aether Skies, right? There's others, they go to the surface to scavenge, right? There's so many hooks that can be based around that. Whether your character's a survivor from one of the instances, actually that was in one of my games. that happened. That particular character even lost the body part in said incident, right? It's something that haunted them going forward, but also made them kind of want to go back and find redemption, right? So like these surface ground scavenging groups is he's kind of an easy hook to go adventuring on the surface, but compensated really well because it's dangerous. That is an angle. Because you have other ships, you have basically airships. An easy one is you are the muscle on a ship, you're protecting a ship. Maybe you have a ship and you run your own ships. Are you smugglers? Are you a task force, charged with keeping down piracy? Maybe you are the pirates, right? There's a lot of different avenues you could go with it. You could be a military regiment that's assigned to a particular ship. The hooks are real easy because you just go where the ship tells you it goes, and you just do what the captain of the ship tells you.
You could be even less glamorous, but you could be a courier, whether you're just regular mail or whether you're actually bonded by the cities, and you're delivering messages back and forth, and like those things can be just as easily attacked by pirates or military vessels because they don't want said messages being delivered, especially if being attacked or delivered to the xenophobic cities. So like a lot of options. So I feel like anything in the sailor or pirate has a much higher use or a much higher ratio for adventure, because I feel like that's going to be a major draw.
Yeah, sure. That's like the key with any setting, right? Is figuring out what parts of the setting are unique and trying to fold them into your characters if you're the player, or as the GM, presenting them so that the players are interested in them and they want to be involved. It's a big reason why in our own games we do allow a lot of player feedback and allow them a lot of agency when it comes to creating particular details of our worlds that maybe we didn't create as the GMs. But like I feel like anytime we do that gives the players so much more incentive, right, to take part in your world. We have one of the cities is run by the gnomes, and one of our players came up with the idea that this is basically like Gnome Las Vegas, right? And we're like, great, that's a great idea. And matter of fact, this might well be one of the cities that actually breaks the xenophobic trends of the others, because a lot of their economy would be based on tourism, essentially.
Yep.
It could definitely be a thing, like you get hired by one of the owners of one of these casinos to figure out what's going on because too many people are winning all of a sudden, and something fishy's going on, and their in-house security isn't able to figure it out. Maybe they're on the take, maybe they're the inside guys, or maybe it's something completely different from. Now, also, Aether Skies has a lot of undertones of eldritch horror and beings from elsewhere. Is definitely something that can be folded into the campaign. I kind of think of the Haunted One background from D&D, which would be perfect for someone who wanted to have exposure to some kind of corrupting force in the world, and it kind of has left a lingering mark upon them. What does this mean? Do they still hear voices from that connection? Are they going to have prophetic dreams about what's going on on the other side of the veil? Are they going to be drawn to the lost city of Haven, which has been the center stone of the campaign as far as being the breach that these eldritch horrors are trying to worm their way back into the world from? So I feel like there's plenty of opportunities both as a player and the GM to kind of plug in and go, what are the ties and connections going to be to this group, to this crew, to hook them in and get them excited about the world and lead them into the next adventure.
To that is Aether and the exposure and corruption. If the otherworldly horrors are not driving you insane, the access to magic being very different in Aether Skies has the ability to, even if you're not a caster, it could technically still grant you some kind of problems. Just because you're not a caster, you might be a beastkin. You might have corruption right from birth or right from the jump. Now you're dealing with these things and it's like, okay, what is the corruption going to do to you? Are you going to tap into it and thus maybe allow it to grow? Or are you going to try your best to avoid it and see if there's a way to purge it, see if you can become normal or not? There's all different kinds of ways to look at what Aether is and how it's going to affect you.
Yeah, so in this setting, magic is called Aether, and Aether is almost like radiation, right? So like there are safe ways to use radiation, but in Aether Skies, the most powerful ways of using it is directly, and that's not so safe. It has lingering effects on both your mind and your body. Corruption is anything that's come in contact with the things from the other side, these eldritch horrors. That corruption in itself doesn't necessarily harm your body, but it does transform and change it and warp it. But it does eat away and destroy your kind of like your spirit or your soul. The danger there is definitely within. Corruption is more likely to take control of you and turn you into something you weren't. You might go from being a good guy to the bad guy. Or Aether is a good chance to just drive you insane or could literally just burn out your body. But both of those could lead to specific hooks, like whether you're trying to something from yourself, one of the other crew members in your team, or maybe a beloved NPC, right, has been racked with the consequences of Aether exposure or usage or corruption. And like I was saying, is there a way to cure this, to fix this? So these can create hooks that are directly tied to this world. So there's like a handful of Aether Skies direct connections, and you could probably use them and think about them in ways of like, how does this reflect on the D&D world you're playing in, or you're playing a different RPG? How does it affect those hooks, pulling your players in, getting them involved in your game? So that seems like a good spot to end for Aether Skies. And with that,